Last thing on the Mormon church for now, I promise. I think it's weird that they let children pay tithing.
Do you guys know why Cain conspired to kill Abel, his own brother, in the very first book of the Bible, first book of Genesis? Do you guys know why? It is because of the very thing that this lady is trying to condemn right here. Okay, one of the first things that God commands Adam and Eve to do when they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden was to offer up the firstlings of their flock as a sacrifice unto him. For those of you who don't know, firstlings of your flock is the first offspring of your horses, cattle, sheep, chicken, whatever. First, sacrifice it unto me. And they ultimately teach this to their children, which Katie, Frugal Mom of Two here, would deem them to be evil parents for doing so, but they do. And Abel offers in righteousness. He offers up the firstlings, the fatlings of his flock, okay? The best of the best, not the middlings, not the lastlings. He doesn't want your leftovers, your spare change when you have excess and all the bills have been paid. He wants your first. He wants your best. And along comes Cain, in the same spirit as this lady and so many others, and tries to circumvent the system, tries to be frugal, tries to tell God how he will worship God and not the other way around. And he tries to offer up fruits and nuts and berries and whatever else instead of what the Lord has asked. And you know what the Lord ultimately tells him? He says, you are in the possession of Satan, and this is an unrighteous offering, and I will not accept it. And he ultimately conspires with Satan to kill his own brother. Until critics and detractors and pocket watchers of our faith as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints come to understand, firstly, that we did not invent the law of tithing. It's not our choice. But secondly, the law of tithing is not about money. It's not. The law of tithing, the law of sacrifice, is one of the greatest opportunities, blessings, privileges that God has afforded us in this life to divorce ourselves from the lust of money, of resources and materials, of things that cannot and will not last in this life, that we cannot take with us. To separate ourselves as much as possible from the temptation of worshiping ourselves as our greatest provider. The Lord has given us 100% of all that we have, and he only asked for 10% of it in return. That sounds like a pretty gracious and merciful God to me. I don't know. We don't choose to wake ourselves up in the morning. We don't choose to say whether or not we're going to get in a car crash tonight, have a heart attack in the next 10 seconds, you name it. We are in control of nothing. And he is our ultimate and greatest provider. If you don't like that enough, the master himself, Jesus Christ, could have set the stage, set the standard forever, once and for all, when he's sitting in the temple with his disciples in the New Testament, in a story we're all very familiar with. And in comes walking into the temple, but who? The widow. And what does she do? She offers up the last 2 mites that she has as an offering to the kingdom of God. Jesus could have sprung up, ran over there, grabbed her 2 mites out of the dish and some extra for her and said, you are good. You are fine. You are exempt. You of all people should not be paying this. What does he do instead? He commends this woman by turning it to his disciples and teaching them and us, the reader, a very, very, very powerful lesson when he says, this woman hath given more than all. Why? Because she has given all that she has. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the entirety of the goal of God in this life. Is to take us from being sensual, devilish, carnal, evil, sinful creatures into holy, sanctified, consecrated beings who understand that the Lord your God is your ultimate provider, and that man doth not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth forth out of the mouth of God doth man live. I believe in the promise of Malachi in the Old Testament when he says, bring ye the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, that I may pour you out a blessing, that you may not have room enough to receive it. I have been a wayward saint at times in my life. I've wandered on and off the path of discipleship. Since learning about the law of tithing and its power, it has been about one of the only things I have continued to obey and follow for my, ever since I started doing it. My only wish is I wish I would have started earlier. But I can promise you, I have needed for nothing. I have needed for absolutely nothing. I might not live a lavish life, live in a big fat penthouse somewhere, whatever, but that is not, that's not what the law of tithing's about. I only wish I would have learned it sooner. So yes, I will be teaching my children. I hope the rest of you will continue to teach your kids from the youngest age possible, that this money, the things that you have in this life, besides your family and yourself and your soul, you cannot take with you.